Hi everyone, Pam Gregory. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of November and the new moon that we have coming up in Sagittarius on the 26th. Now, one of the big events this second half of November, and I mentioned it in the last video, is Jupiter coming to conjunct the galactic center of 27 of Sagittarius. Now, Jupiter does this every 12 years, but the galactic center is like a portal for us to align to much higher cosmic consciousness. And when Jupiter comes to this point, that can help to align us, to connect us to that much higher level of cosmic consciousness. So it's a brilliant to do that. Now, this aspect may bring in new galactic news, new space news of some kind, evidence of life beyond this earth, that sort of thing. But mainly, this is for you to really connect to that higher level of being. So this happens between the 19th and the 23rd of the month, but really we'll feel it a few days to either side of those dates as well. So galactic center energy, if people have planets natally or angles natally at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, they tend to be super sensitive to energy, very psychically sensitive. They may look younger than their years. They often work with energy healing, etc. When we have this opportunity by transit, we can really start to access parts of ourselves that we haven't been able to before, because galactic center energy is very connected to the root chakra, to Kundalini energy. So this is an excellent time over those few days to find an opportunity to meditate, especially if you're sitting on the earth. Connect to the earth. Do strong breath work. That's a great way to get Kundalini energy moving, or obviously do Kundalini yoga as well. All ways to really connect into that shift in consciousness that Kundalini energy can give us. But it can really open up our perspective, and the information can come through from the galactic center incredibly fast, sort of fractal bundles in less than a second. So be sure you can kind of register them and record them in some way, and then just watch in the coming days and weeks what kind of shift of perspective, energy and understanding that has given you. So really recommend you do this in whatever way seems appropriate for you. Then on the 20th of the month, Mercury goes direct. After 3 weeks of being retrograde, it goes direct at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Now, while it's been moving retrograde over the last 3 weeks, Scorpio is the sign very connected to secrets, and secrets which can be a little bit underhand in some way. So it's been a great opportunity for secrets coming to light. And indeed, while Mercury remains in Scorpio in general, that can also continue to happen. And there could be secrets that in some way feed into, as the Jupiter moves through the last few degrees of Sagittarius, some legal situation that is high profile in the world, with that sort of thing. Then on the 24th of the month, we have two very different energies operating. One is Mars exactly opposite Uranus. Mars at 3 of Scorpio, opposing Uranus at 3 of Taurus. Now, this is a sort of classical signature for an earthquake or a volcano, something like that. You know, if you're looking at volcanoes and earthquakes, those are the planets that you tend to see, particularly when Uranus is in an earth sign as well. It's literal physical happening, because this is sudden unexpected energy. It can create a great release of tension, hence the earth events that can occur. Mars and Scorpio can continue to dig up secrets which may be shocking Uranus, but generally this can create sudden opportunities for us that just come out of the blue, that can be very helpful. This aspect is also excellent for finding new ways to do old things, particularly if you're using the internet in a different way. That's very connected to Uranus. So that's one feeling of energy on the 24th. The other is very different. This is Jupiter conjunct Venus at 28 of Sagittarius. So this is still actually conjunct the galactic centre by a degree. And whenever you get these conjunctions between Jupiter and Venus, they are really positive in terms of, see if you see where 28 of Sagittarius falls in your chart, but also if you have any planets or angles between 26, 29 degrees of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, you will be likely to benefit from this and see which houses they fall into. So it can bring you success, it can bring some money in, it can bring recognition or prominence in some way. It's very optimistic as well. And this conjunction continues into the new moon that we have on the 26th of the month. This new moon is at 4 degrees and 3 minutes of Sagittarius. It's 7:05 a.m. Pacific and 3:05 p.m. UK time. Now, Sagittarius is an incredibly optimistic, outward-going sign, loves big horizons, loves to pursue metaphysical things and higher consciousness subjects, but it always wants to lift our vision, if you like, to something bigger and better. New moons every month are a great opportunity also to set a new intention for how you want this new seed, this new beginning to manifest in your life. So see where 4 degrees of Sagittarius falls in your chart and condition your intention by the house area where it falls. You know, for instance, if it's falling in your 11th house of friendship groups, you're going to set a different intention as to if it's falling in the 4th house of the home and the family. It's a completely different area of life. So knowing where these aspects, these new moons, these full moons that I talk about falling in your chart is really important if you want to understand any personal meaning for you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can download a free birth chart from my website. You can click on this link above and you can get a 2-part tutorial video series that will explain exactly the answer to that question. What does this mean for me? Exactly how to find, for instance, 4 degrees of Sagittarius and what it means for you. Okay, so that'll be super helpful for you just to start to get more out of these updates in your personal life, but also understand the basics of the chart. So as I say, this very positive conjunction between Venus and Jupiter continues into the new moon. By then, Venus has moved on to 0 degrees of the cardinal signs of Capricorn. And Jupiter is still at 28 of Sagittarius, but they are both essentially on the world axis. The world axis is at 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. So they can be up to 2 degrees of the cardinal signs and up to, going backwards, 28 degrees of the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. So if you have any planets around there, you may again find something very positive happening for you around this new moon that kind of puts you out onto the public stage in a bigger way as well. Might be an interesting time for currencies, stock markets, because Venus rules those as well. So that's an important part of what we're going to be seeing at this new moon in Sagittarius. We also have some very positive trines coming up, positive aspects. We have a beautiful trine with Mercury at 14 of Scorpio and Neptune at 15 of Pisces. This is about our imagination, our creativity, being easily able to move to an altered state of being, a shifted perception. It is so helpful for us to be creative. It's really a connection to source. In addition, we have Venus at 0 of Capricorn trining Uranus at 3 of Taurus. This is also highly creative. It's very original because it helps you see things from an oblique point of view, a different point of view, or finding beauty in things that other people find ugly. It's that kind of different point of view. In addition to that, we have Jupiter in trine to Uranus. And this is it's an out of sign because Jupiter's still at 28 of Sagittarius, Uranus is at 3 of Taurus, but it's still an operational trine. And this is great for really wanting a sense of freedom, of breaking out, of actually leaving behind your responsibilities and burdens, and it can bring in some very exciting opportunities for us. It can also help to expand Jupiter consciousness. Uranus. Uranus is very much a fourth dimensional planet, where we break free of 3D reality and we can see things from a completely different point of view. So as I say, sudden new opportunities can come in for you, travel opportunities, can be study opportunities to study higher consciousness subjects, and it feels very exciting. Also, Uranus is in an exact quincunx pretty much to the Sun and the Moon. Now this really continues a theme from the end of October, because our new moon in Scorpio on the 28th of October was opposing the Sun and the Moon. This time it's quincunx, exactly the Sun and the Moon. And Uranus is always about breaking free, breaking through, breaking up stale, deadening routines and patterns of being. And it is never linear, it's never gradual, it really encourages us to take a risk, step out, do it differently, break away from what we've always done, the predictable. So it can be disruptive, it can feel exciting. If we make the change consciously from the inside, it is much more comfortable than those changes suddenly coming at us from the outside. So really be aware of that, to really go with the change. And again, watch where Uranus is moving through your chart. Remember, Uranus is moving through Taurus for another 7 years until 2026. So it's a very slow moving. So it will stay in one house for 7 years. Okay, so be aware of that. It's not fast moving. What's very interesting through the second half of November is that Jupiter and Uranus are very highlighted. They're very emphasized. Jupiter is in its own sign. It's conjunct the galactic center, which is so powerful to shift our consciousness. It's also ruler of this Sagittarius new moon as well. Just one other thing I wanted to mention about the galactic center before we move into Uranus. I've mentioned before that our entire solar system is spinning out of an area where it's been for as long as we know, longest recorded time, in a protective area of magnetic cloud. Our whole solar system is now spinning into an area where that no longer exists. And therefore, a lot of new cosmic and galactic energy is coming in for us that we've never experienced before. That, in part, is contributing to these very radical shifts of consciousness that people are experiencing at this time. So that's part of the picture. Okay, so Jupiter strongly emphasized in the second half, but so is Uranus. Uranus, because it's quincunx the Sun and the Moon, it's trine to Venus, it's opposing Mars on the 24th, so that is highlighted too. And as I say, that is the real planet of awakening and fourth dimensional reality. Now, both of these planets are pretty idealistic. They are both very future oriented. They see the world in bigger and better possibilities if we can move out of where we are, from this kind of density that we're in. So they have a feeling of excitement about them. And both are linked in their various ways to higher consciousness as well. So we are, I feel very strongly, at a fork in the road. I was saying this in a talk earlier that I gave earlier this week, that we have two very different streams of energy. We have the Saturn-Pluto energy in Capricorn, which I think everyone feels is very contracted and dense, and that is very much connected to, as I've talked many times in the videos, and I go into more detail in the newsletters, the collapse of the old order, the collapse of the patriarchy, old political and power systems that we've known for many, many years. They are supposed to be dysfunctional. They are supposed to be not working and collapsing around our ears in ways that we haven't experienced before. So don't get caught up in the drama, don't get caught up in the negativity. Know that that is a process which is part, particularly of Pluto and Capricorn, that it has to deconstruct power systems in order to reconstruct, and then we'll move into something very, very different by the mid-20s. But that feels very dense and contracted. We can all feel it. And we are moving into eclipse season in December and January too. However, we have this surge of high-level energy, galactic center, Jupiter, Uranus, that is like a tsunami, a wave taking us to somewhere different. And what's tricky for us as human beings is Saturn Pluto is the known. Saturn Pluto is the past. Saturn Pluto is the way things have always been. Saturn Pluto is very real to us because we've lived through it and we understand all that sort of structural stuff because it's been part of our lives for a very long time. Dense, it's real, it's 3D. Whereas this tsunami of new energy is invisible. It's unknown, it's unfamiliar by definition. And that can always feel very scary. But our energy follows our attention. So wherever we're putting our attention, our energy is going to follow. So we can either put our attention on the drama, the negativity, the density, and we will get more of that coming back to us in our lives, because that's how the universe works. It's just like a mirror. You get more of what you think about all day long. Or we can dare to ride the wave, to hitch our wagon to the higher star and trust the unknown, the unfamiliar, but the quantum leap in consciousness, which is promised in the second half of November. It's very exciting. And many people are hitching their wagon to that fork in the road, because I have a very strong sense that we are at this fork right now, and we have a clear choice. And at the moment, we can kind of hop between the two. We can hop between 3D, feeling gloomy at times in our day, and then we can kind of buck ourselves up and get onto the 5D path. But the paths will increasingly diverge. That's my sense. And I don't have a time scale on that at all, but I have a very deep sense of that we are going to have to make our choice of where our focus is and where our energy goes. And the great thought leaders of our time, and I was reminded of this just the other day by reading something from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who was saying that even if 1% of the population can shift their consciousness, because positive consciousness, positive vibration is so much more powerful than negative. There's a function of downward causation, which means that the whole field of consciousness shifts in a positive direction. And all of the astrological aspects I talk about every couple of weeks, by definition, will manifest in a more positive way, because it isn't, as you know, I feel strongly, it isn't just the pattern that manifests, it's the level of consciousness that determines how they will play out in the world. So, an incredibly exciting time, and what helps our sense of idealism, our connection to source, our desire for unconditional love, and to live in that bliss bubble, is on the 27th of the month, Neptune becomes stationary direct. So Neptune symbolism will be very highlighted in those last few days of the month, but that is reminding us there is a more perfect reality that we can choose. I actually believe that we're shifting timelines in every moment, depending on our frequency. All through our days, we're shifting our timelines. And if we become more conscious of that, we can deliberately choose to keep shifting up the ladder, shifting up the vibrations. So that becomes our pattern to shift towards source, because that's where we're going to find a very different future from our 3D past. So we're talking about a quantum leap here that is super exciting. I hope that's made sense to you. If you'd like more information about my books, my teaching videos, you can go to my website, pamgregory.com. Teaching videos are on the products page. I mentioned in the last couple of videos, I've recently filmed some more teaching videos called Astrological Synthesis to help people with that feeling of complete overload when they look at all the information in a birth chart, to help them with that. And I'll put the link for that below as well. My newsletters, I'm going into really, I think, some very helpful detail of things that people are particularly interested in that I just can't share all the analysis in detail in the videos. So that's what I use my newsletters for as well. So hope all that's been helpful, and don't forget to set your new intention at this very, very powerful new beginning, new moon in Sagittarius on the 26th. Thanks so much for listening, and bye for now.
Hola, buenos dias. It's Kai Pacho with the weekly Pele report for November 6th of 2019 up here at Sierra Hot Springs. They won't let me take the camera by the hot springs, so I'm just going to have to do this one out in the woods, which are so beautiful. Anyway, this is like take 3 because I'm so mellowed out here that I blew the first 2 videos. Because Pisces, Moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune gets a little spacey. Anyway, Friday the moon goes into Aries. Stays in Aries, hits Chiron, squares Saturn and Pluto, over the weekend. And then on Sunday, she goes into Taurus and conjoins with Uranus over there, kaboomies, before coming into a full moon. Full moon at 19 degrees, 52 minutes of Taurus, opposite the Sun and Mercury. The Sun and Mercury will be conjunct all week long as retrograde Mercury comes around and passes over the Sun.
Hello.
And actually comes in between us and the Sun. Dun, 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 dun. Talk a little bit about what that means. Anyway, after that full moon, it's going to be pretty sharp that is happening then. On Tuesday. And then, in addition to that, Mars is in sextile to Jupiter. Mercury and the Sun are sextile Pluto and Saturn. We've got these sextiles going on. Saturn is sextile Neptune. So the Sun and Mercury are trine and Neptune. I mean, we got a bunch of trines and sextiles. Woo, baby! Look at, here's a little altar full of some crystals out here in the woods. I wonder who's been out here. Looks like somebody's been doing ceremony or something. Let's check that out. Anyway, Venus is also, coming in there into Sagittarius. And she is going to be coming into square Neptune. But that's really not till next Thursday. I'll probably talk about that in next week's report. So this is a nice, beautiful shot. Those are some beautiful crystals. I don't know if you can tell on the video. All right, anyway, let me look at this thing and talk at you. All right, everybody. Well, like I said, with the moon in Pisces, squaring Venus, up there in Sag, conjuncting Neptune, I mean, it's a little on the lazy side today. You could get a little self-indulgent, have a little too much chocolate or cakes or sweets or something with the moon square Venus. But we're all gonna live. I mean, there aren't like these major, intense, heavy, hard aspects going on this week. I mean, it's a little bit of a time out, break time. It's kind of nice. Mars moving through Libra. Mars in Libra is non-confrontational, like let's just chill out and not fight about everything so much. I mean, we had the square to Saturn and Pluto last week, and I talked about that. But now, we've got a couple of weeks here before Mars goes into Scorpio. And in that couple of weeks, we've got these sextiles and these trines. Okay, by the 21st, the Sun is going to move out of Scorpio into Sagittarius. Venus and Jupiter in Sagittarius. December 2nd or 3rd, Jupiter is going to go into Capricorn.
Taking place this next week of November, there is an opportunity for us to really clear the space, for us to form a level of structure and stability that is opening up this road for greater discovery, for greater awareness, for those plants' roots and plants' stem and leaves to have the space, the room, the pace, and the time to naturally unfold and naturally grow. And so we'll be talking about this exploration to come. But we've also got a Mercury retrograde, and this Mercury retrograde is powerful, it's rich, it's wonderful, as I've been saying, but it can be a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of material that's being dragged up. There is a tremendous amount of processing taking place at this time. And while there is a good buildup of energy the first week of November, we have a bit of a break in direct aspects, and with this full moon in Taurus this next week. And this is again giving us this opportunity to process. It's not that nothing is happening. And even while we're settling down or relaxing, there's actually a huge amount of work that is taking place on the inside. And I would, in fact, say that this is the real important work. This is the prioritization that is necessary, is that we're allowing this tremendous amount of inner processing to take place, as well as the emotional grieving or the reflection on the past, our prior relationships. Yes, this can really be bringing a focal point to our relationships between Mars and Libra square Pluto, and this Mercury retrograde taking place in the sign of Scorpio. We may recall the last Mercury retrograde in Scorpio around spring, summertime of 2017. There were similar themes of really digging up the bottom of the barrel and looking at the depth of our own soul. And so this Mercury retrograde is about swan diving into the deep end. And this next Monday, November 11th, Mercury retrograde will combust the sun. And there is this deep realization that can be taking place, these eureka moments, these lightning strikes. And again, this is a tremendously productive time. We must be giving ourselves the pats on the back, the self-celebration, the being our own cheerleader and saying, I'm proud of you and good for you for doing this digging, for laying it all out, for being honest, for communicating the good, the bad, and the ugly, because don't you know that we're all the above? And that's the nature of Scorpio. In Scorpio, it's like we're drawing the well, we're spelunking from the deepest, the darkest, and sometimes the most creepy, crawly aspect of the human psyche. These are power dynamics, phobias, hidden desires, what's really going on. Mercury in Scorpio gives us these X-ray glasses that are penetrative and they're critically dissective. I mean, it can be a little sharp. We do need to be practicing our own inner and outer communication gently, because Mercury in Scorpio is no bullshit. It's to the core. And again, Scorpio is the full spectrum of life. It is the bottom of the barrel, and nature has every single shade and color and experience that's possibly imaginable, good, bad, and ugly. And, it's under the very, very bottom of the ocean and underneath the rock. That's oftentimes where we encounter some of those uncomfortable, creepy, crawly types of natural dynamics. And so I like to think that Scorpio can sometimes give us the willies. It's like, wow, this is scary and this is deep and this is the bottom of the barrel. And we may be drawing this well up from our own dream time. We may be having nightmares informing us of these deeply suppressed phobias or dynamics or relationship issues coming from very young in our life, childhood, past friendships. And so, again, this is a good sign that we are on the journey, doing the healing, doing the work, and we deserve that level of self recognition and self celebration for doing that processing, for being flexible and slowing down enough for this unconscious material to be drawn up, for these emotions to be processed, even if it's not all fun and games. It is worth it. At the end of the day, this is how we save ourselves from future misdirection, from future deception, from future misappraisal of reality, of our life, of how relationships really are. And here I'll be a little bit honest that When we encounter this Scorpio bottom of the barrel side of life, we draw up material from our own unconscious. We could say from our own souls or from our own past lifetimes, if we choose to perceive things that way, that are not all good, light, and comfortable dynamics. This is what we really should be drawing up in ourselves because that's real life, that's nature, that's where we find ourselves in this current day and age. And this is what shadow work is. Shadow work is accepting all of our parts. It's accepting the beautiful clouds in the sky just as much as those monstrous beings at the bottom of the ocean because it's all a part of life. And these little lines that we draw in the sand coming from our human experience, sometimes that actually misleads us from getting into the deeper material that actually matters, that actually has important function and purpose, or needs to be acknowledged in order for change to even begin, for healthy transformation to even begin. So, as we're looking into these collective dynamics, for example, there are really, really deep themes in our world. Again, these themes around power struggles, dominance, submission, how we cope with our past traumas. And there can be defenses or there can be subtle self sacrifices. One of the most common collective dynamics that was brought up by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Green, in correlation to the age of Pisces, which we're leaving, this Christian era, is that there were deeply conditioned unconscious beliefs that formed dynamics of sadism and masochism within the human psyche. And I have heard almost no other evolutionary astrologers or teachers really mention these dynamics that Jeffrey Green taught because they're really uncomfortable. It's not what we really want to look about. It's not what we really want to see. I continuously get emails and alerts from people letting me know when the next ascension date's going to happen and when everything's going to miraculously transform to love and light and the UFOs will land and the universe will celebrate in divine bliss and divine love. And I just have to be honest that in my observations of the world, humanity, myself, and the people around me, this is not where we are. This is not where humanity is. And these deeper, even the more uncomfortable dynamics is what is needed to be acknowledged, needed to be illuminated in order for the bottom of the barrel barriers and blockages and corks to be uncorked, to be transformed. So there is all of this material. And again, I'm just using that as an example here of some of the willies, of some of the creepy crawling material that can be coming up from our deep, deep unconscious. And this, in fact, reflects nature, that there is light and dark in nature, that light and dark have interconnected dynamics, and we can't just superficially rule out or overly black and white, or I am this or they are that, because that's what typically becomes misleading, when in fact there are deeper and deeper and deeper levels through which we are exploring and discovering the reality of what's going on. Shadow work, again, is integration of all of our parts. All of them, okay? We have a mind, we have an ego, we have an inner judge, we have an inner critic. None of these parts we liberate ourselves or get rid of on our journey to ascension or enlightenment. It's about integrating, accepting, embracing all of these parts into ourselves, that these parts change into something positive, into something natural, into something that is meant for our human experience in a positive, loving, healthy way. And so I'll prescribe you all some homework with this Mercury combust the sun, and that is to find the positive qualities in your own negative parts. As we're all exploring, swan diving, spelunking, and dissecting these parts, and when we're doing a dissection like we may have done in science class, it gets a little smelly or a little interesting. Your homework is to find the positive qualities in our negative parts. While Mercury combusts the sun Monday the 11th, there is a movement, there is a transition through this Mercury retrograde of coming out of subjectivity, reactivity, blaming, oversimplification. That white blackness is what should be dissolving through us doing this deeper homework. And what can come out of this is a profound objectivity that sees from a higher perspective all these hidden, deeper, ulterior motives, agendas, desires, in a way that's seeing how it is connected to our life, our unfolding, our healing, and there are positive qualities that through embracing this journey, transformation happens, and we don't get stuck in that pigeonholing, that blaming, that copping out, that retreating or aggression dynamic. We all have these power, aggressive, dark dynamics. Every single person does. That has formed from the traumas, the wounds that we've experienced in life. And through embracing, accepting, our innocence formed these dynamics. And though I'm not behaving innocent right now, or maybe they're not behaving innocent right now, by objectively seeing those dynamics, we no longer point the fingers at our own or others' innocence. We see the full picture. We see all the dynamics, and then we can change those dynamics to change the story as well. Beautiful full moon in Taurus next November 12th, this next week, 19 degrees 52 minutes of the sign of Taurus, exactly the same degree as asteroid Vesta, and trine Saturn and Pluto sextile to Neptune. So there is this beautiful spaciousness and period of time for self-reflection, for processing, for just letting it all settle. It's like whenever we go through a tremendous upheaval or a tremendous period of evolution, of transformation, it's like these atom bombs drop that kick up these huge mushroom clouds, and all of the structure's changing, all of our life is changing. And it takes time for that mushroom cloud to clear and for the debris to settle into a new structure, into a new form. This is Taurus. Give yourself the space, the time, the comfort, the relaxation to settle, to structure, to let all of the evolution, Scorpio, opposite polarity to Taurus, stabilize, be integrated. Taurus is an earth sign. Our body, nourish, nurture, find those raw nutrients for your body. And this is what can also be very much illuminating and holding open that light at the end of the tunnel at this time. Taurus, ruled by Venus, is our heart. It's what we love, it's what we cherish, it's what we value. This full moon in Taurus is illuminating that light that's allowing us to return to our values, return to our inner embodied truth. Vesta is the inner flame of what we cherish, what we're devoted to, that gives us meaning, that gives us focus, that gives us function and purpose, that simultaneously fills us up from the inside. Vesta is a very spiritual, mystical asteroid, also very much to do with healing through the body, through sensuality, through sexuality, through a direct connection to nature. Okay, so there's this returning to the inner flame of what we love and cherish, the flame, the love of self-connection is Taurus. This Vesta in Taurus is one's inner altar, one's own temple of self-sovereignty, inner sanctuary, the simplicity of solitude, the sanctuary of space, peace. Vesta is a very monastic like asteroid. Nuns, monks going off into meditation where it's them alone in an empty room, and that room, though we cannot see it on a surface level, is full of bliss due to the meditation, the self-connection, the inner altar, the inner devotion of the nun or monk. Vesta in Taurus is also worship through the senses. And it is the opportunity to lay this new solid ground in our life in a deep way and a practical way by returning to the earth, returning to our senses, our sensibility, practicality. Taurus rules money financially, material sustenance. And the wisdom of Taurus is you don't need a lot of money to be material sustenant. It doesn't have to be the amount of digits or decimal points in our bank account that equals security. In fact, the wisdom of Taurus is that security is found simply, easily, the same way this earth was meant to be a Garden of Eden if only we took care of the plants and animals. And how complicated was that originally, before we created all of these man-made complexes and constructs? The wisdom of Taurus is you stick one seed in the earth and apply sunshine and water. A plant comes up with hundreds of more seeds to create hundreds of more plants. This earth is a planet of abundance. And that abundance is tapped into by reconnecting with nature through our bodies, our senses, and self-connection. When I think of Taurus, I think of the Buddha, who is enlightened. Through this Taurus principle, he was trying to get himself enlightened through the ascetic path, Scorpio, hard-ass gauntlet, walking through coals, pushing yourself through. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's about a balance, right? And it's not until a little girl brings the Buddha a bowl of rice, and he comforts his body, his senses. This comforts his body. Material, self-indulgent comfort is what raised the Buddha's energy and level of consciousness, and he achieved enlightenment. So we can't disconnect ourselves from material things or money or what we need to feel stable. But this full moon, again, can illuminate in a deep way, both practically but also spiritually. This full moon conjoined Vesta sextile to Neptune. This is like growing our roots into the earth, growing our roots into our hearts. Now, we mentioned Mars in this third quarter square to Pluto, and now Venus is entering a third quarter square to Neptune. There's this similar theme of letting go, doing things differently, a level of uncertainty and maybe what it is that we value, how we're doing that, sharing exactly or what exactly our relationships are at this exact moment, because at this moment there's a big opening up, there's a surrendering, there's a dissolving, there's an exploration of what can be done differently that allows for more grace, more stability, more connection, more love. This Venus in Sag square to Neptune, it's about opening, surrendering, letting it go, letting the heart grow, letting our beloveds go. And Scorpio is also a part of living and loving, because life is complex. So to honor life and love, we both have to step up, to act, to know when to create control, when to create change, when to speak up, and at the same time, when to be flexible, how to be flexible simultaneously, yielding and open. This has been a collective dynamics with the moon's nodes and the Cancer-Capricorn polarity all of this year. We are learning how to get out of our own way. So to allow this deeper, more inner processing to take place.
I just.
Oh yeah, the Mike Myers card. I saw that one pop
I
up.
don't know. I just was like, there's something telling me to shuffle.
There's a Mario. The Mario's telling you to shuffle.
Oh, Luigi is not a Luigi, then much more of a Bowser. Fucking I am Bowser. I always played Bowser in Mario Kart. He was fucking the fastest. He was just a little bit wide around the turns.
Yeah, he'd smash people into the walls.
Yeah, that's why he slid. Remember, fucking that's why Bowser's Castle. You slide through it.
All
right. We got Cancer, I feel. So you need to get back into your own feelings that you know within yourself, Cancer. You pulled your own card as your big spiritual advice here and how to deal with this whole thing in the future. You are dealing with a loss of magic. You are dealing with juggling a lot of things. You need to go with your feelings and stop. And I think that you're denying your feelings. I think that's the issue. I think that you're denying the feelings of truth about juggling around, that magical things are not happening in the relationships that you want because the magic is lacking. And I think that you need to be honest about that. You need to be real about that. And you need to get back to your own identity, your own feelings. And you need to put your feelings out there. You can't juggle feelings without knowing what the disconnection is. The disconnection is the magic's gone. Like, sorry, Walt Disney pulled out. Sorry, like, Disneyland just got torn down and, you know, you're in a parking lot right now. Patience. Wow, I think that, you know what?
Ugh.
Ugh.
Gross.
That is a hard one. I'm actually reading this as that you've been way too patient about waiting for the magic to turn on. Now, there's another way of saying this. Like maybe you're gonna say, "Oh, this means that I should be more patient about the magic turning on." I will give you this week. I will let you off the hook, Cancer, and I will say, yes, give it patience for one more week. But if it doesn't show up in one more week, I'm sorry to say, especially with this week and a full moon and all this energy, and I'm going to be real because my guides are saying this from the get-go. This is saying that you've already given it too much patience. But because I know how Cancers are, and they get very emotional, and they want, you know, I'm granting you that patience and the magical spell of patience. Be patient. Maybe the magic will turn back on, but with the juggling, you gotta feel and tell the feelings to your partner or to the person that you're looking at or whatever you're dealing with in love right now, or if you're just not finding any magic anywhere and you don't feel love at all, like maybe you need to be patient with yourself. But I feel that, you know, maybe it's at the same time like you need to do something about it. There's something about, I think that the Astrodites are going to help us, especially this week with the astrology, with this new moon in the 11th house. Like, you know, you're going to be in a new world. You need to go connect with new people. You're probably having more fun with your friends and your lovers. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the truth. All right, so we got Mars in Scorpio in the 12th. Yeah, you are having to cut out some really deep wounds and deep things that are not wanting to be cut out, but you have to. Like, this is going to cut to the deepest part of your soul. Mars in the 12th house in Scorpio is deep. It's deep. It's not easy. You know, you got to get to that real obsessional energies that you have to, like, you got to cut out, because is it really magic? Mars in the 12th could be that you're doubling down on something being magical, and when you get to the bottom of it, does it actually hold that magic or not? The positive in this Mars in Scorpio is it's getting to the bottom of what is missing, what is off, what is not in a spiritual alignment. And a lot of this is, are you in spiritual alignment? Are you living your truth of spiritual alignment, or are you not?
Are you living your truth?
Of course, then your partner wouldn't be magical. Duh.
We need some people out there authentically living their truth. Come on now.
Capricorns.
Ain't got time. Ain't got no more time.
Fucking duh. What do you think?
I think it's going to get a little wild here tonight.
Oh, it's going to be wild. I'm already feeling this full moon energy. I mean, I feel weird on this set with like this thing, but I'll deal with it, you know, but it's like...
Yep.
You know, we're pulling all the signs that are
Is it that, or is it your Nike shirt?
Oh,
You just...
gosh, man, full moon in their 5th house of love.
Feeling it.
You know what? God is like having me pull from the solo cup and just be like, okay, all the souls that have the most craziest relationship stuff first.
Perfect. I'll take Scorpio last.
Capricorn, remember, there's a full moon in your 5th house of love, okay? With it opposing your house of the world, society, and with Mercury retrograde. Ooh. Mercury retrograde.
Cap.
You're around the right people?
Are you?
Are you? Because, you know...
What are you doing with yourself, Cap? Huh?
Think about it. Like, if you're hanging around the slums...
Maybe you'll be a slumdog millionaire.
Well, your partner might turn out to be a slum, too.
Maybe they just need to get a little dirty.
All right, King of Swords reverse. You're not really thinking that straight right now. Nobody is also showing up with the intellect, and more importantly, that maybe you're not thinking about things anymore, and you're losing your power of your strength of your positive mind, your positive will set. You know, King of Swords has no questions. You are in extreme questions. And, you know, nice King of Swords also is, you know, somebody who can promise that they have it all figured out. So you might be dealing with a partner or somebody who's like saying all these things and then they're not showing up with it. The King of Swords reverse does not show up. Like, you know, like they say this and then they don't even show up. It's like being ghosted.
Bullshit.
But also, it's like you realizing as well that maybe what you're not feeling powerful in your head about the relationships, and there's very extreme questions that are questioning your authority anymore in your life about the choices you're making in your relationship life. And so this is kind of this is an issue to deal with, and that challenge is due to soul. Oh man, where's the sirens?
Oh, no.
We got the soulmate card here as the challenge. Yeah, Cappies. This one's a big one for Capricorn, especially with Jupiter finishing up here at the Galactic Center right now this week in your 12th house of endings, and Venus gonna square Neptune in your house of endings. Yeah, the challenge is maybe a soulmate is not a soulmate anymore, or that it's come to a completion, and here you are trying to do everything you can as a King of Swords reverse to figure out a problematic situation about a soulmate that does not feel like a soulmate anymore, or that you have been attached to, if you're single, to somebody that you think is a soulmate, or you're trying to go out, or you've been just lacking a soulmate, but you actually haven't been communicating, or you haven't been dating, or you haven't been like trying to connect. But there's a lot of ways to look at this because I'm trying to cover all relationships. But I will say that there is soulmate issues here, or it's not really connecting there. And the spiritual vice is destiny. Oh gosh.
Damn.
You have to, you know,
Daniel.
yod is. I was born with 3 yods in my chart. You know, yod it up.
How many yods?
I have 3 yods.
Damn, that's a lot of yods, yo.
Yeah, I have a lot of yods. Finger of God.
So you're fingered 3 times by God.
Finger of God. Finger of God. Finger of God.
You have 3 up in there. So God's not a gentleman.
No, I guess I'm like triple banging it.
Full moon in Taurus. Brought to you by
So
High
we got
Vibe
this
TV.
yod destiny that's showing up with the soulmate stuff, which is it's difficult. I know yods are not easy, but they are destined points. They're the most destined alignment in all of astrology. The reason why is because they're very rare. It takes a 60-degree angle of a sextile between 2 planets or more, and it takes 2 in conjunctions to create that triangle that create there, which are very unique angles. So you're having trouble with the destiny of soulmate energies not really making sense. Or you're attached to an old soulmate that you can't let go of. You're afraid of the future, of the destiny of dealing with the authority of doing what you know in your mind and what is smart and what is factual and what is going to make you feel overall happy again in your thoughts and mind. We did get the fertility card. Maybe you're attached because you have a child with this person. Maybe that you have built your whole life from this energy of this person. So I'm talking to Capricorns that have been kind of very deeply embedded into something where they have kids, or they've been really stuck in it. Also, where you've created your life from this person, or you might feel like if you're a single Capricorn, you can't find anybody right now. It's like the problem is that, you know, you think a soulmate is going to create your life. Well, sorry, it's not going to. Like, your destiny is to figure out your own life right now and find a position to where you create your own world so that a soulmate can come in. Those are for those Capricorns that I know out there that are not doing anything about love. They're just like, nah, I'm my closed shop. But relationship ones are definitely dealing with weird issues about, you know, you created your life with this person, you did this, but things don't make sense, and here's love trying to spark you into new directions, and your mind is wandering all over the place. This is when I see King of Swords reversed, he's so sure about where he's looking, but he's not sure of where he's looking. So this is the wandering eye. It's like seeing other people and being like, ooh, would that be a better situation? Oh, damn, I'm calling out the caps right now. And single caps just kind of like, show up, speak up. You can build a beautiful soulmate connection. Your challenge is thinking, oh, there's no soulmate. Well, you can go build it. Go follow where destiny's telling you to go. You got Neptune and Libra in the 7th house. I mean, yeah, this is huge. This is 7th house, Libra, and Neptune's there. It's like, you need to get out of your false dreams and reweigh out all the things that have been going on. Like, really? Like, is this really fair? Is this just all a dream?
Did
Was
you
this
used to
all
read
actually a
Word
chaotic
magazine?
dream? Are you in a chaotic mess? And are you also creating your own visions about things that actually are not really fair, balanced, and actually what the person is? You know, it's really easy to put lipstick on a pig.
Other side of the coin, maybe with that fertility card, would be a good point to like get pregnant or knock someone up and keep them in your life. You know, just hold on to them for as long as you can for at least 18 years. Maybe that's the other side.
That
of the coin
usually does not
on that
go.
fertility.
that usually does not really work out the way that you would think it would. You know what I mean?
Hey, you never know until you try, though. Get out there.
You know what? Hey, Craig, let me see you go try that one. Hey, you got some Capricorn in your chart. Gemini. You got your Neptune in Capricorn.
Yeah, it's all right.
Don't forget about that. You got your Neptune there.
It's all right.
You got
What are we at? I missed it. What?
Geminis.
Oh.
Yeah, now Geminis this week with relationships. I don't want to give it all away what I said on High Vibe, but
Give him a little treat, a little taster.
if any sign in the zodiac right now could make the weirdest relationship choice of their life right now, it'd be Gemini.
It's your time to shine, Gemini.
Just gonna say that because Neptune is squaring Venus in your 7th house with Jupiter. This is the last time that the moon will be in your sign opposed Jupiter for 12 years. And this is a full moon in your 12th house of Taurus.
12th of Taurus.
So, not thinking clearly, Venus squared Neptune at the time, Mars in your love house at the last part of Libra this week, sextile to Jupiter, your relationship house. This is where you fall into the fallen angels of relationships. The fallen angels of relationships.
The depths of despair.
Demonic relationships.
Sometimes you gotta hug a demon.
But you know,
Turn
Gemini's
back
don't
to
like
an
that
angel.
shit. You know, they always get called the devil. Like, well, sometimes, you know, they pick fucking the wrong partner, fucking, especially at times like this. Holy shit.
My mom says everything's the devil. My mom says crawfish is the devil. My mom says
Didn't you have, but you had catfish instead. So you get-
I did. That catfish was tasty. I'm about that. I'm gonna go back to the South. They got a lot of trees there. Alabama was actually very beautiful.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So many trees. It's good stuff. Lots of
I
different
love the
colors.
South. There's something about the South,
Yeah.
with all the trees and the way that the sky is. There's something about the sky there that's like so much. You know, California, you don't feel the sky. We only like see like the beautiful sunsets but we have mountains and then beach.
Yeah,
So
it drops.
there it's just like
I can dig it.
I don't mind people from the South.
I can dig it.
Actually, our best show I think was Tennessee.
It was a good time.
I enjoyed it. All right, let all the Geminis are going crazy here. They want to know what the fuck's going on. Wheel of Fortune reversed. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I told you. This is not
My
oh
precious.
God.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, Gemini. I'm sorry. I know you think that this is the most fortunate thing of your life, but it's not. Wheel of Fortune reversed definitely is you're creating your own. You know what? You're trying to be your own god. You're going to forge into something or you're going to continue to stay on something where the wheel is not turning the right way. You know, I like the way that this Wheel of Fortune is because you can see a person falling off the wheel. It's like falling off the wagon with sober talk. Like Geminis are drunk on love, and whether they've been in a relationship for a long time and it's just not working, or new ones that they're drunk on just to like kind of save the day. Like Gemini's got to be very careful. I'm not just basing this off the tarot. I'm basing this off the astrology.
See, you're getting a double show.
I just
It's astrology and it's tarot.
yeah, you know that's the difference.
Double
between
dipping
this
all
show
over
and
y'all.
other shows. Truth is your challenge. Oh my gosh, you just can't deal with the truth.
Maybe they can't handle the truth.
You know what? I've never heard it better said than any. You just channeled that card better than I could have. You can't handle the truth, and you're gonna have to look at the truth. To what got you into this situation?
Hey, you just gotta breathe. Don't be dying on this.
I'm sorry, like it just
gotta breathe.
You know. Oh no! You know what? I started coughing, and I got breaking news literally on my iWatch right now. President Jimmy Carter hospitalized for procedure to reduce. Wait, now Wall Street Journal. Everybody's getting me. Oh, but this one's officers trying to do it anyway. President Jimmy Carter hospitalized for procedure to reduce pressure on brain after recent falls. Wishing him the best.
It's no good. Jimmy.
Ironic that came out during the truth card for Geminis, alerts that are that intense are trying to alert you at the same time. And as a reader, this goes back to the old alchemy readers, the old teachings of readings. You would pay attention to what happens during the reading. If a bird came in, if a sound happened, whatever. An alert that a U.S. president is hospitalized and going to have surgery and might die. And Craig in the background is...
It's not me. I think there's birds in here.
Did you bring a bird back from Alabama?
I did.
I'm telling you, this is where you need to pull out and look at the truth, and you do not need to make any commitments this week. You need to look at more options too, and make sure that you're really on your fortune. Oh, wow. And your spiritual advice is the moon, the soul card. You know, the moon deals with our subconscious. It also deals with our soul mind, okay? Or soul mind, meaning our intuitive mind, our intuitive self. Not, I love this card. Actually, Craig was the one who said, get that deck. This is Craig's favorite deck too. I actually think might be one of my favorite Wheel of Fortune.
They can't see it.
Cards because of the person falling off. Especially, they're all falling off in this way, with it reversed, and with this soul card, the moon card, subconscious wise, and the moon gonna be in your sign in a big T square to Venus and Neptune, and Neptune's in your 10th house of your long-term destiny and goals. The Venus in your 7th house, relationships, and the moon in your own house, and Jupiter at the galactic center here. Like, I'm sorry to say, what you think is galactic is actually to look around and make sure that you know what the hell you're doing. Especially with the Mercury retrograde in your 6th house. If you're making life changes right now about relationships, hold the phone.
Not a good time to do that.
Not a good time to do that, no.
Not up in here.
Inspiration on the truth. I think that you have to have the inspiration to take the truth and move into understanding that there is more inspiring energy out there. I love that the cup is with this inspiration, I'll get a little Grail Quest on you all. I've been saying a lot of Grail Quest this week. You got to find the inspiration to find the real cup. In the Lost Ark, the Last Crusade of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones has been coming up a lot. I was in for Halloween. People think Craig's Indiana right now, but in the Grail Quest, when the traitor American turns Nazi, the historian, to go, and he picks the first cup and he asks the German woman to pick Christ's cup. We all know that Christ is a carpenter, so it's a carpenter's cup. But he goes for the gold one. It's got all the jewels, and he goes, yes, the King of Kings would have drank out of this. And he drinks it, and he turns into a fucking... he grows really old really fast, and he turns into dust. That inspiration, I don't know if that's a very inspiring talk, but I will say that what you think is gold and glittery might not be. That the true inspiration is actually finding the roots of what you know you want. You're projecting something higher than it is. Inspire yourself through seeing the truth and looking beyond what you thought was the truth to new energies. To understand that you're in some, as my dad would like to say, the bridge over troubled waters. And you got the North Node, the South Node in Cancer in the 5th house. You are digging yourself into a deep hole by rooting yourself emotionally or choosing a home with a lover if you're going to move in with someone right now or do anything like that with love. The North Node is where to aim. And in this case, it would be North Node in Capricorn in the 11th. You need to restrict yourself and get out there back with society or get out there back there with friends and see what else is out there in the world, because you are trying to make home out of a place that's comfortable right now because you're not doing your work out there in the world and you're not looking at everything out there. You know what? They get a Ganesha. I'll give Gemini's a Ganesha.
They need that.
They need it.
They need the Ganesha.
They need Ganesha. You know what? I really don't know how to do any of the Indian like sounds. Like I get on my app, my Indian apps, every hour, like which hour it is and which mantra to do. Like, let's see a mantra right now. Current hour is Mercury. Mantra Om Buddha Buddhaya Namaha.
I got a mantra.
Well,
Om Am Hung Benza Guru Pima Siddhi Hung. It's a heart.
Chinese?
It's a heart essence mantra.
Oh.
No, it is India.
Well, I was gonna say mine's from India, and mine I don't know how to say them. Like Om Buddha Budhaya Budhaya Om Budhaya Namaha. Really not good at that. I am such an American. It
Maybe in
sucks.
your next life,
California
though.
American has the worst accents in the world. All right, Ganesha
Worse
for
at
the
being the
Geminis.
best.
Nurture. You need to self-nurture yourself. I think that you're looking for the nurturing of love, and I think that that's the core understanding of what you're going through. Is like you're in a place where you feel like you need to be nurtured like a little baby right now. Why is the root of that? Get to the root of that, and you'll understand why you're in this weird dilemma in your relationship world.
Riddle me this. What you
I
got
didn't
up in
look, I
there?
swear. I'm redoing it because I'm banging tracks for spiritual dance music tonight. By the way, Libras.
Jimmy Carter.
Is he a Libra?
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Because I looked to see if he was a Gemini when you almost died on us over there.
Well, it's funny because Libra rules the 5th house of love.
Oh,
For
shit.
Geminis. So Gemini's got Jimmy Carter in
I
there.
think
playing
Libras
out
are
their
stepping
love
into a
lives right
great space of love.
now. And you know what? I've been a little crazy today, and Libra rules for Leos, their 3rd house of communication. So, and our brains.
It's looking up for Libras.
I hope so.
It is. It's going to be
We'll
great.
see.
They're stepping into a whole
We'll see
new
right
power,
now. All
a
right,
whole new
let's see.
wisdom of love and benefits coming their way.
You know, we might just pull the Jupiter return benefits card right now. You never know. We might have just come in.
You're going to pull a yacht.
The yacht was pulled, so.
Well, we're getting 3 more.
All right. Libra's got. This might not be bad.
It's a good one right there.
5 of Pentacles reversed.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is the victim card. Yes, this is the homeless card. It's the card of feeling victimized. Now, in love, it just might feel that you're really, really alone. Especially reversed, it's like not like help is right there, but not taking it. It's kind of like if you had a huge gaping, bleeding cut, and you needed stitches, and a medevac, and there was literally an ambulance right there, and they were all there, they were all standing right in front of you, and they're like, "Let me clean that up for you," and you're like, "No."
Oh, so they need to get out of their own way.
Yes.
Or even stifling your growth,
You have
Libra.
to also accept. This is Libra being this week, being like, "Hey." One, Libras that have made choices in relationships that they're in, you know, they're starting to feel weird about them, and they're starting to see weird stuff come about them, and then they're starting to feel like, gosh, am I just stuck in this really bad situation? No. You can use Mars in your sign this week to finally get out. 2, single Libras are like still letting the old victimization and what happened, the pain happen. They haven't let it go yet.
Gotta let that shit go, single Libras.
Challenge. Good fortune.
You gotta get out your own way. Let that moon rain all over
Craig's
you.
right, actually. Craig's channeling really well tonight with all this.
I'm just kicking ass and taking
Come on,
names.
Libra. Like, you know, the challenge here is like, you're one is this could also be that you're seeing too much good fortune in something that you know is not good. Especially with that 5 of Pentacles reverse. Like, you might be taking on like a little bit of a victim, and you might be taking them on and trying to make them feel better. And when a Libra does that, they like take it all on. Two, you know, a lot for the single Libras out there, like you know, you need to get over this whole notion that there is no good fortune for love out there. You need to get over that because you're holding on to the old ways of that things that were not fortunate. You're focusing on that way too much, especially with Mars in your sign. Like you need to have some confidence again. And with Jupiter here, it's in your head. But this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 8th house. Like you need to get rid of these dark energies and things that you're not committing to or not going deeper into. Taurus with Uranus here is saying that you need to kind of drill deeper into your passions, your desires more, instead of like taking a spaceship away from them. That's when you feel empty. Wow, your spiritual vice is the 1st house. You need to put yourself first again in your life and go do things that you want individually. It rules the body too, which unfortunately is your vitality, right? The 1st house. So you need to bring vitality back into your life about seeing that there's good fortune out there and not like pulling yourself out of situations because of the past and learning that, you know, if you put yourself in a place that you really don't want to be in a relationship, like it's okay to pull out. It's not like you're a bad person or that you've been victimized or you're, you know, like, don't be afraid. I think that the main thing on this reading is it's saying, stop being afraid, Libra. Stop being afraid. Like,
Unless you want to be like a cap and you want to just try to trap someone, just keep them in.
Wow, you're really on that tip. Getting people pregnant to keep them. What's next? Trapping them?
It's a weird full.
day.